If you're a Christian woman, here are 5 things that often happen when God is highlighting a man he wants you to be with one day. Number 1, if you met this man at a place where you weren't looking to make a connection with anyone, this could be a sign that God is highlighting this man to you. I certainly think that there is a time and place for some Christians in some situations to do something intentionally to try to meet, date, and marry the person God has for them. For example, as we all know, there are many Christians who have met their spouse through a means like online dating, where they intentionally were looking for a relationship. And yet, one issue that often comes up when you start intentionally looking for a relationship is that it's much easier to question whether or not you're forcing this relationship to happen or if God is really orchestrating this in your life. So it can be an added comfort when you meet someone more naturally. You weren't really trying to have a relationship with this person, but you two just gravitated towards each other and you made a great connection. So it may feel like, oh, this is God bringing us together. For example, maybe you started serving at a particular ministry at church and your sole motive was simply to use your gifts that God has given you and to get involved and help people. But then you made a great connection with a man there. So that's a lot easier to say, oh, God is bringing me to this man. An example of this in scripture could be seen in the life of Moses. He was not looking for his wife Zipporah. He was actually fleeing from Pharaoh. When he was running away, he saw these men harassing a group of women at the well. He defended those women, and those women went back to their father, and lo and behold, he ended up marrying one of those women, Zipporah. Number 2, God could be highlighting a man if you were intentionally looking for a relationship and God brought you to this man. As I said in point 1, it certainly is nice. I think most people prefer to meet someone naturally because then it's much easier to say and feel like, oh, God is the one behind this, and you start questioning yourself if you're being intentional. Am I the one making this happen because I'm trying to be in a relationship? But God does oftentimes lead certain people to be intentional. So you can see this principle in Genesis 24 when it comes to Isaac and Rebekah. If you remember, Abraham was intentionally looking for a godly spouse for his son, so he sent his servant to his homeland, and the servant prayed for a specific sign and that would mark who Isaac should marry, and God answered that prayer exactly. And like Moses, this actually happened at a well. And I think that's a great analogy here. Moses met his wife at the well when he wasn't trying to meet her. And the Isaac met his wife, through the servant when he was intentionally trying to find a spouse. So it really just depends on what God is doing in your life. So if you pray and you're being intentional and then things happen exactly like you prayed about, and you sense the Lord is answering those prayers and confirming that he was leading you to intentionally do this thing to meet someone because it's bearing the proper fruit, then that is a great sign God is highlighting this man to you. Number 3, if this man is pursuing you in an honorable way, that's a good sign that God is highlighting this man to you. As a woman, there needs to be at least 2 facts that are present to really know if God is highlighting a man to you. The first fact is that this man needs to be godly. And the only way you're going to really know that is if there's spiritual fruit in his life. Yes, he needs to be professing verbally that Jesus is Lord, that he's an actual Christian, but he actually needs to be walking the walk and bearing the fruits of the Spirit because God's working in his life. So that's fact number 1. The other fact is that this man actually needs to be pursuing you. If he's just a godly man, that's not enough. He actually needs to be pursuing you. So those 2 facts, they sound overly simplistic, but when you look at women who are sometimes wondering if a man is being highlighted, those 2 facts can really help you answer that question. So 1, maybe a man is pursuing you, but he's not godly. Therefore, that's not the man God's highlighting. Or you really admire a man, you like him a lot, maybe you even are good friends and have a good connection as a friend, but he's not pursuing you. So again, that would mean God's not highlighting that man. Number 4, when you and this man seem to be magnetized towards each other when you're in a group of people, that could be a good sign that God really is highlighting him to you. Does everyone else seem to disappear in the room when you two are together? Do you somehow naturally just find each other in a crowd and gravitate towards each other because you have a deeper connection and you enjoy spending time with each other, even though there are hundreds of other social options around? Those are good signs. As the couple in Song of Solomon said to each other, the man, as a lily among brambles, so is my love among the young women. The woman says, as an apple tree among the trees of the forest, so is my beloved among the young men. While many other social options were available, these two had a special bond with each other. And number 5, if you feel like you could be happy to fulfill the biblical role of a wife to this man, that could be a good sign that God is highlighting him to you. The role of a wife is a very vulnerable position to be in. A wife is called to submit to her husband, to respect him, to lay down her life for him in service. Of course, the husband's role is just as vulnerable. He too is called to sacrifice his life for her, to put her above his own needs, and to serve her like Christ serves the church. And Jesus died for the church. So that shows what type of sacrifice God expects a man to be having in the role of a husband. But nonetheless, the role of a wife is very vulnerable. So you should not be quick to put yourself in that position. You're going to have to sacrifice. It is vulnerable. Therefore, when that time comes, you should really want to do it. You should say, this man has shown me that he's willing to sacrifice for me. Therefore, I'm comfortable in fulfilling the role of a biblical wife to him. It's a big blessing to this ministry when you give these videos a thumbs up. That helps this content spread to other people who might also need to see it. I'm Mark from ApplyGodsWord.com, and I'll see you at the next video. God bless.